Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Ink and Echo, the show where a writer and a musician talk about life and art and creativity and all kinds of stuff. So, Andy, how's your week been? Andy, did I lose you? Andy, where are you? Whoa. Where am I? This isn't my room. Why is it so dark all of a sudden? Ah! The hell was that? Andy? Andy, are you in here? I can't see anything. I don't know where I am. What is this place? Andy? Andy, can you hear my voice? What is this? Andy? Can you hear me? Why is it so dark in here? Help! Can anybody hear me? Andy! Hey, Andy.
Hey,
how's it going?
Hey, buddy. Good. How are you?
I am pretty good on this Saturday afternoon.
Cool. I've got something for you. Ready?
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And I had all those people do this for you. They're all very excited.
Thank you, guys. That is really going on.
Yeah, they love you, man. They're so proud of what you've done.
Okay, sit down, everybody. Thank you.
But you did it. You did.
Yeah, I can't believe it.
I want to know how you're feeling at the very end, like the last few days.
I don't know. It was hard to describe when we actually crossed the goal. It's I can't describe it. Yeah, it wasn't like an explosion of emotion. It was just like a sigh of relief, I guess.
Right.
Like, okay, we're here now. I can stop pushing this everywhere and spending so much time on it and just focus on the movie now.
Right. But you you uploaded that video to Facebook and tagged friends in it, and that seemed like you were feeling pretty down at that point.
Yeah, for sure. I think that was 2 or 3 days left to go.
And how much money was left when you
Oh, a lot. Still more than half, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that is ultimately what helped push it over the goal, because that resulted in about $1,000 within the next 24 hours. And
nice.
It occurred to me, or I realized after doing it, that a lot of people had simply forgotten, or some people still, even after 7,000 posts and emails, they didn't know about it.
Oh, okay.
And so even though it felt super crummy and strange to personally tag people, Emmy suggested I go for it, and obviously that turned out okay.
Yeah. But in the video, you said that you're never going to do this ever again. Is that true?
That was just a moment of heightened emotion. I don't want to have to do another Kickstarter for a long, long time, or never, if I can help it. But just because it's so much to put yourself through.
Yeah.
And I mean, ultimately it ended up, all that worry and anxiety ended up being for nothing. But even in the middle of it, there was no guarantee.
Yeah.
You know, there's no way I could have known. And like, if I hadn't taken the particular steps while it was live, it probably wouldn't have gotten there.
Right.
So it's like it did take all that constant effort.
And what was the total? It was like 58 something?
58.22. So
what are you gonna do with that $822 that you weren't expecting?
Well, so as you know, Andy, Kickstarter takes a chunk, and credit card companies. But so
you'll still be getting a little over 5,000, assuming people's credit cards are still all good. Did anyone's credit cards get kicked back?
Just like 3.
And did they fix it?
I haven't looked, but
okay.
Kickstarter said they'd give an alert. So with the extra money, so something that's nice is, I mean, that'll just be a good buffer in case anything comes up that's more expensive than we think. And also, we're gonna try to keep a chunk of money set aside for festival fees.
Okay.
So, making the movie, we don't want to deplete our budget down to zero.
And then not be able to do anything with it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, that extra chunk was really helpful. And a lot of people upped their pledge.
Nice.
Which is amazing. After I sent the email, and I was really thinking nobody's going to do this. They're going to think I'm an asshole for asking. And then a bunch of people did.
But I guess, they already were giving you some, and maybe we're just trying to see how things were panning out, and
Yeah, I suppose. I guess I always assume that others assume the worst about me.
That's good. Nice.
Like this Josh, we've already helped him. Now he's asking for more. Ugh, I'm just going to take away my pledge. What a dick.
As opposed to seeing the pledges as, wow, I really like Josh and I want this to happen for him. I would gladly give you a little more money. That would be a way to look at it too.
That thought never crosses my mind. I just assume all people view me as a wretch.
I'm pretty much there with you too. But,
sure.
That it would be good of us to maybe try to not think like that as much as possible.
Yeah, of course, because it's proven untrue over and over.
Right. So what's next, man? I mean, what are you doing now?
Yeah, now we get to make the movie. We're scheduling everybody for the shoot, and I am already at work on the Kickstarter rewards, at least the ones that I can make right now, like the artwork and the poster, and that stuff is actually really fun, and I'm building some props, and so
nice.
We're just doing all the rest of the pre-production work and trying to get it ready to happen.
Are you looking for a car? Aren't you going to try to buy a car?
Yeah, we're either going to buy or rent a car.
Can you rent like old weird cars from places? Is that a thing?
Yeah, but we've found that's probably going to be too expensive.
Okay.
You can get them from car clubs, which are like these groups of old guys who restore their cars. And the thing about that is those guys are going to be really protective, and they might ask for a lot of money. Yeah, which we don't have. So. Yeah, we've found cars on Craigslist that would work for $400 or $500.
Awesome.
And we don't actually have to drive it. We're just going to tow it, and the actors are going to be sitting in there. At least that's tentatively the plan. So
they'll just like wildly move their arms back and forth on the steering wheel.
Yeah,
it looks super cool.
Yeah,
nice.
So yeah, it's I told you before. I don't know if I've said it on the show, but it's like, okay. Now I remember the fact that I'm actually making a movie, because when I was in the middle of the Kickstarter, all I could think about was fundraising and forgot about the creative part altogether.
Yeah, that probably feels good though. Like, oh, this is back to being fun again, hopefully.
Right. Yeah. Andy, I've got a little thing for you.
Okay.
To tell you about. So you're familiar with the television program known as Gilmore Girls, right?
Yeah, and I know that it's coming back, and I know that both our wives are your wife probably more than mine is very into it.
She's into it. I'd say in the course of my marriage, she probably has watched the whole series once a year. Oh. Straight through, all 9 seasons.
Wow.
She kind of goes in bursts, but yeah,
Wait, does that show drive you nuts? Because it kind of drives me nuts.
Yeah,
the banter, I've never been potentially more annoyed by just unreal banter. I can't understand it, but
right. It's
I don't know if that's where you're going or whatever, but
not quite. But I'll show you. We'll get there.
Okay.
So yeah, it's impossible to read a book while being in the same room as that show.
Yeah.
So I don't think I've ever seen an entire episode front to back. I've seen snippets, and so before it was on Netflix, we had the DVDs, and so there's like the cold opening, and then there's the intro song, and then the episode begins. And so Emmy always hits skip on the intro song and just gets onto the episode. And so even in 6 years of being somewhat surrounded by this show, I've never heard the entire intro song. So I've actually prepared a little something here for you.
Okay. Oh.
So in celebration of the new season of Gilmore Girls, I'm going to play for you how much of the intro song I do know. Okay. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay. If you're out on the road.
That's it.
Wait, I think I got the lyrics wrong. Let me try again. Let's hear it once more. If you're out on your own.
Oh, on your own, not the road.
Yeah, on your own. Yeah, I got it wrong.
What? Can you maybe extrapolate and predict what might come next?
If you're out on your own.
I mean, play it. What are you playing? Like a G or something? Go to like a D.
2 times or... Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Just see how far you can take it.
Let's see. If you're out on your own.
There you go.
Gilmore Girls. It's a mom and a daughter. And they love to get snacks and watch movies. And Luke, we all love Luke because his opinion is obviously right about everything that he says, and he's surrounded by madness. Gilmore Girls.
I think that's got to be it.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And the girl from Ghostbusters is in it, and she was a chef in the hotel. And the French guy lost a baby, and it rolled under the bed and took a nap.
Yeah, they surely just name the characters and tell you what's happened. That's what most theme songs are, right?
And Rory's dead. He's in and out of the picture.
That's amazing.
I'm pretty sure that's very close.
Yeah, I mean,
to the real thing.
Maybe someday you can check, but I don't think you need to at this point.
No, I'd rather just keep it pure.
Yeah,
you know, like I've heard that snippet, and I'll just be satisfied knowing that I'm correct.
Is how excited is Emmy for the new season? Is it even out yet? Is it out already?
No, it's not.
Okay.
She is excited. Yeah.
Okay, great. Oh gosh, that was wonderful. Thank you for that,
Andy. Do you have what's going on with you? I feel like I've talked for the whole first chunk of this.
I have had things happen to me recently. I haven't been feeling great for multiple reasons. I mean, the reason we're recording on a Saturday is because I had, honestly, anxiety issues on Thursday, I think is what it ended up being. That manifested itself physically.
That seems to be a theme on this show.
I know. Yeah, and I already feel kind of silly about it if that's what we're going to talk about all the time. But
nah.
I feel like what happened is I'm preparing for the studio build. It's ending up costing like my budget. It's like right at my entire budget, and I don't really feel that good about it. So I'm stressing about that, trying to do the contractor. I'm stressing about writing new music and these other obligations I'm putting myself in. And I feel like in the week, and I'm also dealing with like family members who have died recently, and my parents are moving out of the house I grew up in, so I get to go like walk through it the last time ever because it sold in 2 days after being on the market.
Oh wow.
Just all these things. I feel like it got to a point on Thursday where like mental anxiety was happening, and it kind of triggered a physical thing. And even after I was able to sort of clear my mind and take care of that part, like the physical manifestations just were like, well, here we're going now, and there's no stopping this train. So I just like felt more completely drained of energy than I ever have, and had that heart racing thing that you can't stop. And I told you over text, like I had the great idea, honestly, because at first I was looking at my phone, like looking at Twitter, and it was all this political stuff, and I was like, this is not helping. This is not what my brain needs.
Right.
I ended up watching Too Fast, Too Furious on Netflix. And
Too fast for y'all.
It was perfect.
Isn't that how the song goes?
Yeah. And it's Tyrese and Luda, right?
Luda?
Tyrese?
I believe so.
Megan recognized him. I didn't.
Good thing.
I mean, you've got just the most absurd everything, and you've got Paul Walker's, subpar acting, but his cute smile and his blue eyes. So it was at least able to get me out of myself in a non in just that absurd way that only Too Fast, Too Furious can, and that helped me. I still had to stay up for 2.5 hours in bed and let stuff, I let my NyQuil work to get me to sleep. But yeah, that was fun. So that's why we couldn't record on Thursday. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I felt bad. Yeah, as much as I normally talk against the constant distraction of our culture, sometimes just getting your mind off of negative things is exactly what you need.
The things I initially went to, like going to Twitter and seeing real-time commentary on like things that are really happening and potentially very scary in the world. It's like, okay, this is not a way, because that is a way a lot of times where I distract myself, but I was like, this is not going to be helpful to me right now. So I think I chose wisely to get myself out of that.
And you didn't immediately feel better the next day. You were still kind of...
Well, it was partly the NyQuil. Like I just had that drowsy feeling. But yeah, I feel like the sleep, I couldn't quite replenish myself. So yeah, I basically had to stop doing anything creative because I knew that was going to backfire. So
I hate that. I hate those moments.
Well, I mean, it feels good to kind of have a legitimate excuse to be like, well, I just can't do this now. So I didn't really feel bad about it after accepting the fact that, if I try to force something now, it's just going to like flare all this back up and I'm not going to get anything good done. So luckily, I've been building acoustic panels for my new studio space, which is actually very nice. I was, cut a bunch of wood and, cutting and drilling and stapling, and it's really nice. And I just had a podcast on or didn't have anything on, and that has been helpful. And I'm excited to do more of that this weekend.
Yeah, doing stuff with your hands is cathartic for sure.
And it brought back memories. Like I don't think I've done, and literally all I was doing is cutting 1x3 boards on a radial saw. It's not that hard, but like the smell of the wood, it really, it brought me back to middle school when I had this woodworking class and just this super badass teacher. And it was just nice. And I could very much see myself getting into building things more. I mean, especially with the studio, I could build, different random acoustic treatment type things. I think that'd be pretty fun. I could see myself doing that more and more.
Yeah. Were you craving a Werther's Original caramel chew?
Yes.
Like little Andy and his grandpa just hands you a Werther's Original like a commercial. Anyway, that would be sweet to build more stuff. Is there anything else for the studio room that you could build on your own? Yeah,
I mean, other than I have all the materials for the panels that are going to be hanging on the walls and on the ceiling, but there are some, I could build like a drum riser. I could build like movable acoustic treatment, so like big panels that are kind of on wheels, so you could isolate something more or less, or dampen stuff more and less. Put stuff around a drum kit or that kind of thing. And there are diffusers. I don't know if you've seen them in pictures of studios. It's like this big panel, but there's all these tiny blocks that come out at different lengths.
Oh yeah, at random heights. Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure there's some method to it that I haven't researched or whatever, but that'd be kind of fun too. You just cut all these tiny pieces and glue them, and so instead of just dampening the sound, it's kind of diffusing it and sending it off in all different directions. Is the idea there? So there's stuff that I am excited to build. All I know is the space I'm gonna have is gonna be almost worse than my current space acoustically, just because it'll not have carpet and not have a slanted ceiling. So I know I'm trying to do this before the space gets built, so I can immediately have a nicer sounding room, which is fun.
Yeah. So is any of the anxiety surrounding the soundtrack you're doing for me? Are you struggling with that creatively?
Yeah, not directly. I'm just struggling looking at all the things that I have on my plate for the rest of the year.
Okay.
so nothing individually I'm worried about. It's just a matter of like, I've got to, I guess, just be more organized. And I'm still kind of in a weird phase where I guess I'm still realizing the help I have now from my manager and the people. I've got to get that in my head a little more, that there's now these things that I don't have to do or worry about. And so I do have the ability to focus on these things that I need to do. That's the whole point, you know? And I feel like that just hasn't sunk in, and I'm worried like, oh, I've got to, I literally could be working on music all day now and answer a couple emails to Ray or something, but that realization just hasn't sunken in. I hope it does, because I need to get working on things. And, I mean, I don't know if we want to go into this now, but just today, I went back through music I've been writing for the new album, my new album.
Yeah.
And I just hadn't looked at it all together, and I feel like I might actually have a skeletons for the entire thing at this point, which I didn't think I had.
Oh, wow.
Like, so I bounced all the tracks that I have and put it in an iTunes playlist and kind of, shuffled it around and played with the order. And I was like, wow, I might actually be there. Like, I might not have to write new things, just kind of work on what's there.
Right.
Which has me kind of excited. And it's cool to start looking at the big picture, Yeah.
Yeah, that's really exciting. The last time you showed me stuff, which was a couple months ago, I think you only had 3 songs, basically.
Yeah, and I'm trying to, given the...
but they were really long, I should say.
Yeah, well, that's what I was sort of going to say. The kind of direction I'm going is more minimal, I guess I'll say, and I want the album to not go overboard on that in terms of total length. So one of the things I'm thinking about is, how can I want the running time such that it can fit on a single vinyl, like front and back, and not have to do a double gatefold thing. I feel like that's a good constraint, and it's keeping me from going overboard and just like, because there are some long, sparse things. That's kind of maybe what I'm going for, and I don't want to go overboard overall on that thought idea.
Yeah. And you don't yet have like a theme, right? As far as the sort of story that you usually integrate.
I sort of do. I mean, to be completely honest, I think it's going to have something to do with death. Just because, I don't know if I've said it on this podcast yet, but I feel like I've moved into a new life, because just this year my grandma died and her husband died a couple years ago, but I just feel like I'm in this weird part of life where I'm like, now people I love are dead. And it just feels very profound and very like, this is a whole new world, kind of like I'm going to have the memories of this person for the rest of my life, and more people are going to start dying. And I'm just going to be building up memories of dead people, which sounds pretty heavy, but I mean, that's what's been on my mind. So I feel like whatever story or theme I put is going to revolve around that somehow.
Let me just pitch you a possible album title.
Okay.
Picture this in quotes. David Bowie, I'm sad you're dead. Huh? It's got a nice ring to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait,
that's my...
Have we talked about how that really did make me very sad when he died?
Not on here.
Well, I was asking like in general. I told you about that though, right?
Yeah.
David Bowie was my first CD I ever bought of my own will. And it was I was surprised how sad I was when he died. So, here's sad Andy from here on out. Sad about dead people.
Yeah, there is a strange feeling of loss in the culture, even though I wasn't necessarily a David Bowie fan and not really familiar with his work, but just anytime one of those icons dies, and especially those people that it just seems like they're kind of immortal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and then with Prince, I have no real knowledge of Prince other than his Super Bowl halftime, whenever that was. And so that one just didn't affect me much at all because I was just like, I don't know him. But David Bowie was the first one. I'm like, well, that sucks. And I wasn't expecting that.
Right.
And that's going to happen more and more too to us as our idols are going to die.
Yeah.
Wow, this is great.
I'm ready to hear from our sponsor, I think.
Yeah, I am
at this
too.
point in the show.
I think that's... Okay, here we go. All right, man. Well, so we are killing it in the trucking industry. So as you know, a couple weeks ago, we had the semi-savers, and our listeners came through. No one else needs them anymore, so they're not advertising with us anymore. Okay. But they did spread the word within the industry, and we have a new sponsor today called Semi-Sams. So, Josh, in your semi-driving time, which we both have extensive time, I'm going to do something here. I'm going to step away from the mic. You tell me if this sounds familiar to you. Okay, ready?
Yeah.
Hey! You're too close! You're too close to me! Back up, please! Please back up! Ah! Does that sound familiar?
If I had a nickel for every time I heard that in a day.
I know. Well, and then aside from that, isn't it a trucker's responsibility to protect the windshield and general body care of anyone driving behind them? Isn't that something we really want?
Yeah.
So no tailgaters, but we want to protect them at the same time. So that's where Semi-Sams come in. What they are is, and you've probably seen them, truck mud flaps with Yosemite Sam on them, and it just says, get back. And he's got his guns ablazing. So
I have seen those, yeah.
Yeah, so that's who makes them, Semi-Sams.
Oh, okay. I've always wondered where you get those.
I know.
I just thought it was some obscure place.
Yeah.
Now we know.
Semi-Sams. So, it's for the people who just want people to get the fuck off the back of your semi. Stop.
Guys, just do what Sam says and
back off.
Back off.
But also know that we are protecting you. We're not going to let these little rocks get kicked up and get little nicks in your windshield. We care. We care. And that's what we want people to know. Back up, but we care. So they're running a great offer now where you buy one, you get 3 free. And that's not pairs, that's just one mud flap. So you can put those on 4 different wheels. And you just have to go to inkandecho.com/semisams. So thank you, Semi-Sams. Okay, that was really good. Thank you.
That was great. Andy, I have a topic for you that I've been frustrated about off and on for a long time.
Okay.
And even in this moment, in this period of time I'm experiencing.
Like right now?
So
this Saturday morning? The afternoon?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, kinda. It's not at the forefront of my mind, but so it does honestly bother me so much, and we've talked about this in person before, why people of our generation, ages maybe 18 to 30,
the millennials.
The millennials, exactly. Why do we have such a damn hard time responding to things that are either text or email or messages, anything digital that's not in person?
Yeah.
Well, and let me just expand on that a bit, because I probably wrongly view those things as a form of communication that is almost the same or as important as in-person talking.
Interesting.
And so I know I shouldn't do this. I can't help it. It's built into me. I take it personally and as a direct, like, fuck you, I don't care, basically.
Direct assault on your person.
Yes, if people don't reply either at all or in a timely manner.
Well, and you're talking about me, too.
No, not right now, no.
What? Yeah.
But yes, it has happened with you, yeah.
I mean, sure. I have that problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just because I view myself as someone who is respectful of other people.
Yeah.
And I do view it as a high priority to just do them the courtesy of responding. Now, sure, I've gotten busy or forgotten to reply to something, or maybe if it's in a group text and it doesn't really need a reply, I'm not going to jump in.
Sure.
But I'm talking about, like, for example, with the people who are helping me make my movie right now. If I send them like an email that matters very much to me and has important information, and there are direct questions for people to reply to, and it's been 2 days and no response, then I assume, all the worst things, that they don't care, they're not committed, they don't give a shit about me, they're not getting paid, so they're not going to work hard.
Yeah.
Or it drives me bonkers. And I feel like, okay, this is the last thing I'll say, and I'll let you respond. Like, if these things were said in person, face to face, you would obviously reply.
Yeah.
You would speak your answer. And so if I said a direct question, you wouldn't walk away and just be done with me and never return to the issue. I feel like there is this, it's just rippling through the culture that it does not matter to reply to things, or that people are just not being respectful of each other.
Right.
Or they're just so damn distracted that they can't remember 2 seconds later and the entire country has ADD.
If you're asking why that's happening, I'd start by pointing at that. I mean, yeah, there's all these different ways of communicating that are useful in different ways, and we're just spread too thin. So stuff is going to fall through the cracks, as opposed to like when we only had landline phones. Like when that phone rings, that's the only way to communicate with us. But now it's like, well, a text or an email basically come into my phone looking the same, like a thing pops up, and then there's that, and there's a tweet. Someone responded to a tweet that comes in looking the same, and so it's like they're all just kind of thrown together. But the thing I'm curious about is, so you see it as the same importance level as talking in person.
Yeah, because it's like I'm directly corresponding with another human.
Right. And this is, I don't know if this is a valid thought in this type of conversation, but I was even thinking in the last couple of days about various types of communication, and one thing that I ended up thinking was like, well, every type of communication is based off a face-to-face conversation or something, but each I would say even in each medium there is a removal of certain aspects of that communication, if you're basing it on it in person. So, like a postcard was something you had to pay for it, and you only had a little space to write, and then you send it off. And so that's taking away a lot. So there's only so much you can say and do in a postcard, which is, of course, it's just a postcard. And then there's email, and okay, like a phone call. Okay, you do have some social cues in terms of, I can hear voice inflections, I can hear pauses, or that kind of thing. But you're still missing a like visual thing,
right?
And so I guess the point I'm getting at is every form of communication has something missing from the real communication being face to face. And it's different for every medium. Like, for instance, I was even thinking to myself, like, postcards versus tweets. You can basically put the same amount of information, but you get to, like, I was thinking, okay, postcards cost a little bit of money, and it took some time to get to their recipient. And so there's not nearly as many postcards sent as tweets, right? Because a tweet is free and it's instantaneous.
Right.
And that makes tweets less valuable even because there was so little time put into them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you see where I'm going here? Like, so an email, I don't think it should be viewed on the level as an in-person conversation. Not but the information should.
Yes. I think that's a good way to say it. Yeah.
So I look at the medium, email, tweets, text messages, and I feel like in my mind I do have a hierarchy of importance based on how much is being removed from an actual in-person conversation. I think that's where I'm at. And it's still the problem of there's way too many. And actually one thing that happened to me, I only realized it the last couple of weeks, is I used to have a Google voicemail. So it was tied into my phone, and I guess that stopped working a while ago. So I don't have a voicemail anymore. And I love that because no one can contact me that way anymore. So it's like, does that make you mad though? Does that frustrate you?
No, not really.
Because the way I see it is like I'm narrowing down the ways that people can communicate with me so that I can actually be responsive in a couple places, as opposed to having to monitor all these different things,
Yeah.
And it kind of goes for, like, I shut down Facebook messages on my music page because I just can't. I'm getting emails, I'm getting Facebook messages, I'm getting YouTube messages. Like, in order to respond to any of these people, I just need to funnel them all to one place, and that's going to work better for me. I'm going to respond to more people. So I think I just went on a rant there that I don't know if it's actually related to your question or your frustration.
Yeah. No, I think it is. And I recognize it boils down to I need to stop taking these things so personally, and I need to just learn how to navigate this because it's only going to become more prevalent.
See, and maybe that's my point. Like an unanswered email is not the same as you talking to a person, asking them something, and then them standing up and walking away.
Right. But what if the information there is extremely important and I need an answer? Then do I just have to treat them like a little kid who doesn't pay attention and follow up and remind them 1,000 times? Or?
I mean, maybe. Or if it's that important, it should be a phone call. Like, move up the hierarchy of communication to a more important medium. Maybe. I'm just spitballing here.
Yeah, that's probably true. Oh, it just flusters me so bad.
You don't have to, what kind of things are you needing right now? I'm just curious.
Oh, I think it's just, I'm trying to schedule, as I mentioned, the stuff for Cordial Kill. And what's awkward about that is, the people who are helping me are not getting paid.
Right. So you don't have that authority kind of. No,
and I don't want to, and I don't mean to badmouth them because there's a chance that at least one of them will probably listen to this. But it's just I don't think they understand how important this information is to me.
Yeah.
And that I'm putting all this weight and energy and work behind it. And to me, an unanswered email or text is just Josh, you do not matter to me.
Wait, so I'm curious with that mindset, do you have any thoughts or worries about how you might be when it's actually happening, when you're directing it? Do you think you'll have more things that people do where you feel like it's a personal thing that you shouldn't take personally?
I'm sure there will be, but I am slowly learning to just address those things directly in a kind way and not in a defensive way, but just communicate better. And 95% of the time it ends up being nothing.
Yeah.
That I just took it wrong because I am a crazy person and a sensitive person.
As we've documented so far in every episode.
Yeah, no kidding. But then part of me is still just come on, people.
Yeah.
Come on, people my age. Be a fucking adult and answer things, for goodness sakes.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny, we all have our things, because my thing is punctuality. When people say they're going to be somewhere and at a certain time, I take that personally. We set up this thing, and now my time is being wasted, everybody's time is being wasted, and it just seems like the most rude thing ever to me to be late.
Sure.
the exception being like a party where no one wants to be on time or something.
Sure.
But I mean, I don't know, maybe we just all have our things that we value highly and then get mad at everyone else about because they don't value it as highly.
Yes, that is probably the best way to summarize it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's probably the most I've cussed on this show so far, but obviously I'm very passionate about this issue.
Yeah.
And listen, people, if you know me, just reply and I'll feel so much better about everything in my life.
Yeah, you should kind of like what you did with your Kickstarter video, like put up a pleading video on Facebook and be like, just so you guys know, you just gotta respond to me.
Yeah,
that
because
seems like
no
it might
one
work.
no one knows the mental damage and worry that it causes me, and that's not their fault.
Yeah,
but still, it's a reality.
That's great. All right, what do we want to do now? How are we at on time?
I'd like to hear maybe a bit about what's going on outside of in your music career, because you gave a little hint, and so I'd like to hear maybe a little further hint
about
or maybe you can reveal everything
about the not manager stuff, but the label type stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got the contract and it is signed now. So this is August, and the financial deal part of it is going to kick in September. And I don't know, one of the things that was kind of weird in my situation is I think what would normally happen is money would funnel through the label and they would do their accounting and then pay the artist every month what they are owed. But since I have more than a few revenue streams, it doesn't really make sense for me to just transfer everything to go through them. So we had to kind of come up with a solution. And I think what we ended up with is at the end of next month, at the end of September, I'm going to have to just do some basic accounting on my end and send it to them and be like, here's what came through here and here and here and here. And then
you're totally going to fudge the numbers, right?
Yeah. I'm going to cut it in half. Yeah. But
take that big, I'm sorry. Take that big corporate music, which it isn't even.
No, it's not at all. But so basically, instead of them doing the accounting and sending me a check, I'm going to do the accounting, send them that info, and then they will send me an invoice every month.
Huh.
Which kind of,
okay.
I mean, I could have gone either way. Like the idea of the money flowing through them and me just getting a check is kind of nice. But at the same time, I've been doing it for so long where, I'm going to check my TuneCore account every Friday and see how much money got put in and then put it in my bank account. Like that's kind of just how I'm used to it going now.
Right.
So it's nice to retain my hands on it a little bit,
Yeah.
So it's fine. I'll just have to think a little more ahead and know that it's not all going to be for me at this point.
Yeah, that makes sense and seems, maybe like a little extra work, but it would be really messy to try to set up
right
TuneCore, Spotify, YouTube, all that to channel through them and then get you paid.
Yeah, and it could potentially even like hurt things, like make things break and not be making as much money anymore.
So the contract is signed, but is anything still up in the air or?
No, not really. Just waiting for it to kick in next month.
Okay.
But yeah, there's been stuff already happening. Like, I guess I'll say this: I've been recording a video series that I think the goal is for the announcement to involve the release of this video series that I've been working on. That is is pretty cool, and I'm excited about it. And there's just some cool stuff that they've put into place. Like I'm going to have a lot of my music featured on some pretty prominent podcasts that are yet to come out as like,
oh really?
Yeah. Like every episode will be like, and featuring music by, I'm not getting paid for it, but, it should be cool.
Yeah, that sounds great.
And then I'm doing a couple other things. I mean, these are part of the anxiety inducing, like, here's these projects I have to do by the end of the year. One of them is that I'm making a sample library for this company. So basically it means the tedious process of recording a bunch of different notes on the guitar and playing in different ways. And so, like, here's an A, here's a A sharp, here's a B. And then they're going to take all that and put it into like a software instrument so people can like sample my sounds and put them into their songs and stuff.
Yeah.
So that'll be cool. And then the last thing is that I have signed a contract to do some custom compositions for a company, a licensing company. Basically, I'm going to write songs for them. They will own the master. Like, it's their songs. And then basically what happens is I split the licensing and royalty fees
nice.
Going forward from there. So I can't do anything else with the songs. It's like exclusive to them. But it's from what I understand, it's like it's an advertising agency. So part of the goal is for them to say, hey, we have these exclusive songs that no one else has that can work in your commercial or your movie trailer, that kind of thing. So it's kind of a cool, different way to do it. And then working on your soundtrack and my new album, those are like the 4 big things right now. And this podcast, but this doesn't take very much time, and I don't want it to take that much time.
Right. And so, Andy, when you record all that music, what kind of pedals and gear are you going to be using? Like, those are the model of your amp and your guitar. Is it like a Squier or a other cheap brand that I don't know?
I don't know. I don't know how to be funny here.
Here, I'll just say it for you.
Okay, yeah.
And
hey, Josh. Hey, wait, hold on. Josh, can you let people know everything about me gear-wise?
Sure, Andy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I really am the expert on it.
Yeah, I send you pictures every day and stuff, so.
Well, guys, he's got one that's made out of metal.
One what?
And a pedal.
Oh, okay.
And all your amps are black and maybe one is red. And they do have company names on them.
Yeah.
And some of them don't. And then the pedals are mostly shiny. There are a lot of different colors. They have knobs and buttons. And I always push the buttons when I come over, but Andy bats my hand away. And so, yeah. Gear, machines, stuff, tools, I would say.
Yes.
Sounds, electronics. And
perfect.
That's all the gear we'll ever say on here, because anyone who's following this show for gear is going to be sorely disappointed.
Well, surely they're not even listening this far in. Well, and to be completely serious, I'm trying to figure out how to word this. Maybe
be nice.
I'm going to be nice. We're running to the end here probably, so I'm just going to say a little bit. I do not want to talk about gear basically anywhere anymore.
Because we want to spend our time talking about worship music.
You are killing me right now.
Hey, it's the best way to shoot it down is just to address it.
Yeah, I'm going to put it this way. I have problems with the gear community because they seem to care about the tools and not the creation. And I have very much a lot of problems with the worship community.
We're just more about the people and the experience here, and about making cool things.
And,
that's a serious statement.
And I'm about potentially saying how I'm an ass. I'm very open to that being a possibility too. So I'll throw that out there. It's a real genuine talk. You know, when you're real, when you're genuine,
the people will come.
No, they might get offended.
Oh.
And they might think that you're an ass, and I can't stop them because I'm saying what I think. And that's sort of the point here. Well, thanks a lot, Josh.
You're welcome.
We just lost half of our listeners.
I think it's time for a comment.
Yep.
Internet comments, what could I say? Internet comments.
Okay, man, this kind of relates to what we were just talking about, and I didn't even plan this.
All right.
And so here's what I'm doing this week is I'm going to be sharing a good comment this week because I don't want it to all be bad stuff, and I want to explain why I like this comment, and it gets at
this comment is like one of the baby goats in your yard.
Yeah,
that gets rejected by its mother, and you have to cradle it and feed it with a bottle.
Yeah, because we want it to grow.
Because you love it.
I love it. That's a real thing that happened. We had a baby goat get rejected by its mom, and it's so sad. Okay, this is actually from Facebook, from a video I posted, and looking at the comment, I forget which video it is, but one of those damn boring guitar videos. Okay, so there were lots of comments, people asking about gear, pedals, and not actually commenting on the creation. And then this person says, "Oh, Andy, what goes on in that head of yours? I feel bad because I don't know what are the exact technical stuff like everyone else here, ... But hey, at least I get to enjoy this beauty. I always will. Thank you." So
yeah,
that's what I want.
Right. Yeah, that's very sweet.
And I responded to her and I said, "Thank you so much. That's the thing that matters most to me, is that the creation did something to you." And it means almost more to me when I hear someone say, "I have no idea what technical going," like they're blind to that stuff and still take enjoyment from it. That almost means more to me, you know what I mean, than the people who are obsessed with the gear. So, I mean, I don't know what else to really say about that, but I really, truly, like, I'm not trying to push anybody away, honestly. I'm trying to focus on what I believe is the most important part of this whole thing, which is the art and not the tools to create it. And I'll say furthermore that I'm very envious of guys and gals who seem to walk a really healthy line of catering to gear nerds. And like Trevor was talking about it on last week too, about this same thing goes in the camera world. Anything that involves like tools is going to have this issue. There are people who seem to be able to have a healthy line of catering to gear people and then having the creative aspect. I do think, I don't know if it's my introversion or my anxiety or my ability to get overwhelmed easily, but I can kind of just do one or the other. Honestly, I don't know where that healthy line is. So I'm basically just choosing to focus on the art, the thing that makes me happy, and the thing that I'm passionate about having in the world. And so when I get comments like that, that helps me to be like, yes, that you are who this is for. And I'm glad that you received it as such.
Yes, for sure. That seems to be that just boils down the reason to do it, period. Yeah. And his response is like that.
I think I mentioned it before, but I am jealous of how I feel like authors, like there's no equivalent for an author. Like what, you got the new MacBook Pro to write on, or there's not really that discussion. Really?
There can be about not tools, but technique.
Yeah. Okay. So the equivalent being like me, instead of talking about the guitar, I'm talking about chord shapes or progressions, which seems a step up in value, I would say.
Sure. Yeah, it's a little more. I mean, the closest thing would be, and this has not happened to me a lot, I don't mean to sound like I'm some famous author, I'm not at all, but people will email me and be like, "Hey, I attached a document of my writing. Would you look at it and critique it?" And I don't know, just boiling it down to make things more formulaic instead of kind of magical about the process of writing. Yeah. Where, people having questions like, I don't know, I can't even think of an example, but that's like the closest thing, and that doesn't really apply, I guess.
Yeah. But I mean, that happens to me too. It's like, in general, people wanting simple answers when there is no such thing. Right. And that's hard. I've already talked about it, but that stresses me out because I'm like, I can't answer that. And I hate that I can't really answer it in the way you want. So I feel bad about myself now. And I also feel like a jerk.
It's how it comes, or it's just a part of doing what you do, and all you can do is answer kindly or not respond at all.
Yeah, and make people like you very mad.
Yeah, thank goodness I'm not one of your fans trying to get in touch with you.
Thank goodness you hate what I do.
Yeah,
you're not
so
a fan.
Tired of all of it. Hey, if I do just want to say before we go, thank you again to the people who have rated us on iTunes. I looked yesterday and we had 13 ratings, and I think they're all 5 stars.
Yeah.
And that actually surprised me because I hadn't looked in a few days, and I was like, oh, dang, we're looking pretty good. So thank you for doing that. And please, more of you go do that, because that really helps. And even if you don't like the show, that's okay. Tell us honestly what you think. And also just want to remind people about the submission form on our website, the contact form if you have questions or thoughts or
a couple people did
feedback.
That in the last week, and it was very nice. And one guy brought up some topics. Obviously we didn't get to them here, but some ideas of stuff to talk about, so that's very cool too.
Right. Yeah, so thank you for that stuff. We love seeing that.
Yeah, and that's just at inkandecho.com/contact, or you could just go to the main page and click around.
Home run this episode.
Really? You think so?
No, I'm just this is trying to come up with like a corny dad phrase.
We rounded the bases, sliding into home right now. Are we? I don't like what I just said. Are we done?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.